Warm greetings, my dear friends. Today I invite you to walk beside me on a journey, a sacred exploration of one of the most liberating and transformative practices we can cultivate: self-acceptance. Imagine for a moment that you're carrying a bag heavy with stones, each one representing a harsh thought, a judgment, a regret. With every step you take, this invisible weight slows you down, drains your spirit, and clouds the light within. This is what happens when we carry self-rejection, when we burden ourselves with the belief that we are not enough. But there is another way. Together, let us open our hearts and minds to the path of self-acceptance, guided by the timeless teachings of the Buddha, real stories of transformation, and gentle, practical wisdom. Let us speak today not as teacher and student, but as fellow travelers seeking peace on the shared path of inner awakening. Self-acceptance is not about ignoring our flaws or pretending to be perfect, nor is it merely liking ourselves when we meet expectations. No, it is something much deeper. It is the courageous act of embracing all of who we are, our strengths, our wounds, our light, and even our shadows. It is to look inward and say, I am worthy of love as I am. The Buddha taught that suffering often arises when we cling tightly to an image of who we think we should be, instead of gently accepting who we already are. He said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Think about that. Imagine standing before a mirror. What do you see? We often focus on what we believe is wrong, the imperfections, the scars, the past mistakes. But the mirror reflects all of us, not just the fragments we criticize. Life, too, invites us to see ourselves wholly, not through the lens of judgment, but with kindness and truth. Let me share with you a story passed down through Buddhist tradition. There was once a man named Angulimala, a feared bandit who lived a life of violence and despair. He earned his name from the gruesome necklace of fingers he wore, taken from his many victims. One day, he crossed paths with the Buddha. Calmly and without fear, the Buddha said to him, "Stop, Angulimala." Something about the Buddha's fearless presence, his boundless compassion, pierced through the darkness in Angulimala's heart. That moment sparked a transformation. He renounced his old ways and became a monk. Despite his past, he found redemption, peace, and purpose through the Dharma, through the practice of self-acceptance and mindful change. This story reminds us no one is too far gone. Redemption is possible. Self-acceptance can become the bridge between who we've been and who we're becoming. It begins when we look honestly at our past, offer ourselves forgiveness, and choose to grow forward with awareness. But why is this so difficult for us in the modern world? We live in an age of relentless comparison, bombarded by curated images on social media, idealized standards from advertisements, and voices that whisper constantly that we must be more to be enough. These pressures plant the seeds of self-doubt and self-rejection. But we must ask ourselves, who created these standards, and why have we given them the power to decide our worth? Buddhism teaches that comparison is a form of suffering. The Buddha once likened it to drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. The more we compare ourselves, the further we drift from inner peace. True self-acceptance begins not by looking outward but inward, not by seeking approval from others, but by learning to honor our own presence just as it is. And like meditation, self-acceptance is not a one-time realization, it is a daily practice. Let me offer 3 steps that can help cultivate this sacred way of being. 1. Awareness. Begin by noticing the way you speak to yourself. What is the tone of your inner voice? Is it gentle, or is it critical and unforgiving? Simply observing without judgment is the first step to change. When we bring awareness to our inner dialogue, we create space to respond with kindness. 2. Compassion. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend. When you make mistakes, offer understanding instead of blame. Even the Buddha, on his journey to enlightenment, faced moments of difficulty and doubt. You are not alone in your struggle. In Buddhism, the lotus flower is revered as a sacred symbol. It grows through the thickest mud, yet blooms with breathtaking beauty above the water's surface. It reminds us that our struggles, our imperfections, are not obstacles to our growth. They are the very soil in which our transformation takes root. Just as the lotus turns mud into grace, so too can we turn self-doubt into self-acceptance. Let me share something personal with you. When I first became a monk, I was overwhelmed by feelings of inadequacy. I looked around at the senior monks, so serene, so wise, and I felt unworthy. My teacher, sensing my struggle, said to me, "The river does not compare itself to the tree, and the tree does not envy the mountain. Each fulfills its purpose, each walks its own path." Those words stayed with me. They became a gentle reminder that my journey is not meant to mirror anyone else's. It is mine to walk, with patience, humility, and love. Mindfulness, too, is essential in this path of self-acceptance. It invites us to return to the present moment, to observe our thoughts, not with judgment, but with curiosity and care. When we are mindful, we stop reacting and start understanding. We stop criticizing and start listening. Let me offer you a short practice. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. As you inhale, silently say, "I accept myself as I am." As you exhale, let go of any tension or judgment. Repeat this for a few minutes each day. You may be surprised by the shift it creates in your heart. Another story from the Buddha's time echoes this wisdom. A woman named Kisa Gotami was consumed by grief after the death of her only child. She went to the Buddha begging for a way to bring her child back. The Buddha gently told her, "Bring me a mustard seed from a household untouched by death." She searched everywhere, but each home she visited had also known loss. In time, she realized that suffering is universal, that pain, loss, and grief are part of the human experience. With that understanding, she began the process of healing. She found peace not by denying her pain, but by embracing it. Self-acceptance does not mean we ignore our wounds. It means we welcome them as part of what makes us human. It is in our willingness to feel deeply that true peace is born. Allow me to share another teaching from my own life. In my early years as a monk, I often grew impatient with myself. I wanted to understand everything quickly, to embody the teachings instantly. One day, my teacher gave me a sapling and told me to water it daily. I protested, "But teacher, this tree will take years to grow." He smiled and said, "Exactly. Growth takes time. Do not rush it. Nurture it with care." Years later, that tree stands tall, a living reminder that self-acceptance is not about speed but steadiness, not perfection but presence. Even the Bodhi tree under which the Buddha enlightenment was, at one time, just another unnoticed tree. No one revered it until it became a symbol of awakening. And so it is with us. Our worth is not in how others perceive us, but in the quiet work we do within. Under your own Bodhi tree, you too can awaken, if you nourish the soil with patience, honesty, and self-love. As we draw this reflection to a close, I invite you to ask yourself, what heavy stones am I still carrying? What would it feel like to gently lay them down and embrace all of who I am? Make time each day, even just a few minutes, to practice self-acceptance. Let it be the foundation upon which you build a life filled with purpose, peace, and compassion. If this message speaks to your heart, I welcome you to become part of our growing community. Subscribe to this channel, The Inner Compass, where together we explore the teachings that lead us inward, toward truth and transformation. Share this video with someone who needs this reminder. Let's create ripples of healing across the world. And remember, just like the lotus, you have the power to rise from the mud and bloom. Your imperfections are not your weakness. They are your sacred soil. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. May your journey be rooted in self-acceptance and unfold in serenity. May you be well, may you be free, and may you walk gently